All right, so this is Ben. I'm here with Tecton from Achaea, and there he is. And we are about to start another awesome producer interview. His real name is Justin, for those of you that don't know. And so I thought we'd jump on into it. Justin, can you hear us okay?
Yep, you're fine.
All right, perfect. So I'm sure we'll just jump into this by asking you, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved in Achaea as a player to begin with, or as a god right off the bat? Can you tell us how that all started?
Yeah, definitely. It was probably about 1999. I think I started playing. A couple of friends of mine were playing at the time, and they kind of got me introduced to it. And
Mm-hmm.
just came from there. I sort of scoffed at it at first, but then as I sort of played it more, I got more and more into it, and found out like how deep and involved it really was, which was really great. And then
Yeah.
yeah, from there I sort of played through till about 2004
Mm-hmm.
as a player, and then applied for Solani then, and made it up into the garden. I've been up here ever since.
So let's see. You scoffed at it at first. Why was that?
Um, I just thought it was like really nerdy at first, but
And you
yeah,
still think it's nerdy today?
no,
No.
I'm not allowed to think that it's nerdy. It's something that's making it correct.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it just seemed really odd that everyone would just get so involved in this game without graphics. But then as I got more into it, like, I'm sure it's the case for many people, they just get hooked, and it's just a really great experience. So.
So at the time, were you a programmer, or did you have any experience programming when you started playing the game, or were you just a casual video gamer?
I've always been a gamer, but yeah, I was doing my IT degree at the time,
Mm-hmm.
so it was sort of a good break for study, and you could get onto it at class, which I think sort of helped my addiction a bit.
Right.
Because have it going in the window, and it just made it look like work because there wasn't any graphics or anything. So
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's good. Yeah, so yeah, did a lot of programming stuff through that, and then after I graduated, I had a few jobs in the IT field. So yeah, definitely a fair bit of programming experience there.
And I'm sure some players are noticing that you have a bit of an accent, depending on where they're from, or maybe you don't, depending on where they're from. Can you tell us where you're from originally, where you live today?
Yeah, I'm from Australia. Um, I'm in Michigan at the moment. We sort of spend a few months in the US every year, and then a few months in Australia, which works out pretty well. So we just sort of chase summer and avoid the awfulness that is winter.
Oh, wow. So you're pretty much living the dream.
Yeah,
That
if you
sounds
don't like the
nice.
cold, then
Yeah, exactly, unless you're a snowbird. Well, no, you are a snowbird, technically. Okay, cool. So, and your family, you have family there that you live with. You're married, from what I've heard,
yes,
and your wife is also involved in the video game Achaea.
yes. My wife is Val Narana, who also has just recently taken over as mayor. So she's the co-producer of the game as well. So
So we get a lot of creativity generated from your household.
yeah, it's pretty much all work all the time. It's like we'll just be doing something, going for a run or a ride or something like that, and then we'll just be talking about work stuff all the time. It's sort of
Wow,
24/7 around here.
that's amazing. Now, I don't know if I know this or not, but was she a goddess in the game before you were actually a god?
We came up about the same time. I think she came up about a month after I became a Salami. So
Did you guys, as players, know each other in the game?
not hugely. No, I think we had a bit of a just sort of large scale combat rivalry, just
Okay.
because opposing factions as players and things. So
Huh.
we didn't really know each other that well until we came up into the garden.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, that sounds really cool. I'm sure that that's something that you're probably happy about, that you kind of met this person through this experience.
Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty amazing, and I think that that's becoming more and more common nowadays with the internet. So I'm sure people are fairly impressed. And let's see. Tell me a little bit about your experience as a as a like Solani and God in the game before you became a producer? What was that like?
Yeah, it was really good. As most people know, I was playing Shaitan, which is the god of evil, before I took over the Tecton role. I had a really great time in Mordor. Like, it's sort of every sort of person's, I wouldn't say dream, but like it's very good for gods to be in that position where it's sort of, I don't want to say sort of mindless obeying, but like they observe everything to the left. And they're very fanatical and very hardcore RP about it, so it's really great from that point of view to be in Maldor.
Right. Awesome roleplay in Maldor.
Yeah, it is. It's great. And then basically after I think I was about 4 years, I guess, as Shaitan, I started doing the Tecton thing, which is started off as just a volunteer coder that I was doing at the same time as I was doing the Shaitan role as well. And then as time progressed, it sort of things developed more, and I took over the producer role and pretty much had to leave Shaitan behind, which was really disappointing.
Before we go too far into the producer role, when you were Shaitan, before you became Tecton, what were some of the achievements that you accomplished, or some of the maybe areas you developed in the game? What can you kind of look back on and say, okay, I did that when I was a god in the game?
As a Solani, I built the Green Lake area, which is just off the highway near Dallas there. I also built Auric Manor, which is up by Tazaki. What else? As Shaitan, myself and one of the other Solani built the Maldorian Cathedral and put that in as Shaitan with an event and stuff, which was really well received. As Shaitan, we also tried to do as many sort of fun little RP events and even just fun things like demon raids and stuff on the city, which players love to hate to love. So, but yeah, really great times altogether at Shaitan. So.
Yeah, that's good, because I know people who are either tuning in now and look on the history of the god will wonder kind of what your role was and what you accomplished as that god. And I think also people that maybe have prospective hopes of becoming Solani someday may want to know what kind of things they can do as a god in the game. So
yeah, definitely. There is a lot. Pretty much, you have, in most respects, an unlimited amount of creativity with what you do, as long as you're sort of not violating any of the sort of pre-established canon or lore and things. You're pretty much right to do whatever you want. It's really,
the sky's the limit.
Yeah, that's it, basically.
Yeah, and recently I did an interview with Jeremy, and he said that he was a big fan of being extreme as a god. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, having been a player when Jeremy was around, I can definitely say that he was extreme at the time. Yeah, I think the attitude, I think, has sort of changed a little bit. We've sort of, as a game, we've probably got a little bit more customer focused than we were back then, as we've got bigger, which is sort of a necessity to any sort of business. I don't think we could probably get away with a lot of the stuff that he did back then, when it was just sort of maybe 40 or 50 players on at a time, compared to now where we've got 350 or 400 people on.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely great to do.
Yep. And that's good. And I think that players definitely appreciate interaction with their god. So I'm sure that you probably, from that point of view, liked interacting with the players. And I would imagine that's probably one of the best parts.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the biggest reward. We have, every 3-4 months or so, we have a Solani call. And as part of that, they do have very limited sort of player interaction. And when they finally get to take over a god role, just the amount of comments that we get from them is about just the elation and just the really sort of awesome feeling they get as a god, being able to finally interact with the players as an immortal. It's really good.
Right. And what advice would you give to mortals that feel like their gods have abandoned them in the game? I know that's often a feeling that I'm sure you've heard voiced before.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Unfortunately, like the gods are volunteers as well, and there are just like players have real life things that come up and sort of prevent people from logging in. The same thing happens to gods, but we do try to get all the roles filled as soon as possible. So
Is that sort of a method that you use? Is that the gods get assigned to roles that haven't been filled in a while, or how does that exactly work? Or do you just get to pick whoever you want to be?
yeah, we just let well we let players decide. Well, the Solani decide what role they're going to take over.
Mm-hmm.
We just feel that if we were to force people into roles, then people may not be sort of happy with the role that they're assigned, even though it may be needed. And then basically they may not be familiar with the role. They could really do some serious damage, or even if they don't do that, they could just not be happy with the role and then just quit after 2 weeks after they feel it's not them.
Right. The enthusiasm is such a big part, sounds like.
Yeah, so yeah, keeping it like if it's something they want to do, they're going to be enthusiastic about it. So and hopefully stick around for a long time.
Oh, that's